Since I'll be at the ALA convention this weekend, I figured it would be appropriate to do another Swordtail fishroom tour. It's been a while since I've done one, so I figured now would be a good time. So let's dive into the fish barn and take a look at all my Swordtails. So let's start off with the Swordtail that started it all in the hobby, the green Swordtail. These green Swordtails are closely related to the wild Xiphophorous Mayae that were discovered in the wild. These fish were then crossed with platies that created a lot of the color morphs that we see today. I picked these fish up earlier this year at the Kallmani Carnival that was put on by the Michiana Aquarium Society, and have these fish living here in this 40 breeder with a sand substrate and some Vallisneria. They haven't dropped fry yet, but I do enjoy these fish and looking forward to some fry very soon. Next, let's talk about the Xiphophorous Kallmani. I've had these fish for quite a while here in the fish tank barn, picking up these fish back in 2019 at the GVAC auction, and they've done quite well for me. They share this 40-gallon breeder with some lemon drop bristlenose plecos. This fish is native to Lake Catemaco and is one of the larger swordtail species, getting up to about 5 inches in length. This tank does get quite a bit of hair algae, which I use for fry protection so the fry can hide and avoid any predation by any of the parents. So now let's talk about these black swordtails. I did lose the original group, but now have this large group of fry and younger adults growing out. These fish came from the Big Fish deal in Maryland right before the pandemic started. So they do kind of have a special place in my heart because that was the last aquarium event before the pandemic. They did go through some moves in the fish tank barn, but are now settling in nicely here in this 40-gallon breeder with some Pandagara and a couple of Melanitania species Wallace Road rainbow fish. One thing that I have found pretty interesting about this fish is that they do throw off some interesting calls that we'll take a look at later in this video. And I am really looking forward to seeing this colony continue to grow and continue to thrive. Moving to the 40-gallon tank above are these red swordtails. These fish were purchased at the Michiana Aquarium Society in 2020 and have been some of my favorite swordtails here in the fish tank barn. These fish were moved during some of the fish room remodels, and I did lose some of the adults, but these fry are growing up nicely. It's another colony that I'm really looking forward to getting the adults back and really looking forward to breeding these out. So next up is a group of Xiphophorous Mayae that I picked up at the Kallmani Carnival as rather small fry. I now have them living in this 29-gallon tank, and they've grown up quite nicely. These fish are found in Guatemala and Honduras and are one of the more robust swordtail species, with the males reaching a length of 6 to 7 inches, including the sword, and the females getting to be about 4 to 5 inches. These fish will be probably due for an upgrade fairly soon. I'm really looking forward to getting some fry from these fish at some point in the near future. Next up are my Nezzie Swords, or the Xiphophorous Malinche. I have a pair of these fish living in a 20-gallon tank, which is my smallest swordtail tank. These fish are commonly referred to as the Northern Mountain Sword and are native to the state of San Luis Potosi in Mexico. I really do enjoy the interesting behaviors with the male, as it's a lot of fun to watch him chase the female around the tank. This isn't a very colorful fish, but I really do enjoy the markings on the male. He almost has kind of a very interesting plaid pattern to him. I do have one fry in this tank, but this is a tank I really need to provide some more ground cover to prevent fry predation by the parents. Moving along here is another 29-gallon tank with the Xiphophorous Malinche. I purchased these fish earlier this year, and the colony has absolutely exploded. These fish are native to the Hidalgo state in Mexico and are often referred to as the Highland Swordtail. Much like the Nezzie Sword that we just spoke of, this fish does like its temperature on the cooler side. I have found this species to be pretty hardy, even in the summer months, when the temperatures in the upstairs of the fish tank barn do tend to increase. I'm really happy with how this colony has progressed, and have even brought some down to Florida for the ALA. So let's get some color back in this video and take a look at this trio of albino Kohaku swords. This is a reverse trio with 2 males and 1 female. I had originally purchased this as a pair, but the female turned out to be a sneaker male and is now the larger of the 2 males. This is a common occurrence with swordtails, so it's definitely something to look out for when purchasing those fish. This is definitely something that's common with swordtails, so definitely pay attention to your fish when you're purchasing them, and don't be surprised when this may happen to you. So how I handled this is I reached out to the seller, who happened to be a member of my club, and he was able to provide me with another female. These fish are doing fine, swimming amongst the cribs that inhabit this 29-gallon aquarium. We spoke earlier about the culls from the black swordtails, and here they are. These pineapple swords came from both the male and female black swords. They definitely have some really bright colors and are quite interesting coming from black fish. I would have never thought that black swords were made from outcrosses from pineapple swords, but you never know. It's really quite interesting what's used to outcross sometimes. I'm definitely interested to see what comes out of any fry from breeding these 2 fish together.